Oh, wow. Oh, wow. How fun. Have the four of us, this permutation of people, done a podcast together before? I was just thinking about that.
Just the four of us? No.
No.
Just the four of us. No.
But we can
It's like Brandon would be the one to
talk about
ask.
Thailand, just
We
the
can
four.
pod if we
Literally.
try.
Literally, Brandon is the one to ask because the three of us do too many as is. Anyway,
One might argue too much, but
one will not argue and just say too much. Regardless, I'm excited to be here for this one. But sawadee ka, and welcome to the Cup, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where we put the real and the tea in reality. And you can always come to us first to quench your thirst. I'm Logan Murphy, say something gay, and I am drinking some green tea that has honey in it, so it is technically sweetened. And I don't want to hear anything about it.
Hey, usually I drink green tea just as it is, so...
But Brandon doesn't get shit from people. Apparently, I'm the only one that does. And the two people that give me shit are not here, thankfully.
Only for unsweet tea, but everything else is fine.
Yes. Insert cup mug promo here. Woo! And you could get
Maybe
yours
we'll
at
all have
Logic.
one soon.
Maybe we'll all have one soon.
Maybe.
Who knows? But you can go and check out the new and improved cup mug over at lanagcreations.etsy.com. That link is in the description below. And we do ship domestically within the United States and internationally, so there are no excuses. Unless there are some excuses, then there are some excuses. So because there are some excuses. Yes, Lana, this is now Cup Mug 1.0. The front-facing one, we now have them where they have the logo on the front and the back. So make sure to go check that out.
Well, I'm David Healy, and I don't have a cute intro, but I do have a cute shirt. She's just chilling there, resting. It's one of my favorite queens ever, Miss Ben de la Creme. Yes, this was one of my first drag shirts I ever bought. Love Ben.
I love that.
I'm just drinking some water. Don't have much left.
And I get to go see her and Jinx in their Christmas show next month, and I'm
Lucky
so
you.
excited!
I've been once, and it was
I'm
my
so
favorite
jealous.
drag show I've been to.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I
I'm
went
so
through,
excited.
Yeah, I went 3 years ago. I bought the last meet and greet. I was able to meet,
Ooh, purr.
and I got.
And
I have Jinx signed my Funko Pop.
I love. I'm gonna do my best to convince them to go to Brazil, so that River
Please.
can also see.
Yes.
The only queen that I've seen is Bianca, and I want to see more. Please come to Brazil.
Period. I mean, if there's only one, that's a great.
And
choice.
not just Sao Paulo and Rio. Please come to the south. We exist. We are here.
That is so valid. Yeah, I was gonna say that they are coming next week, but I'm gonna be in New York when that happens, so it's fine. But I've already seen them, but I'm not sure if the show's different. But anyways, I am Brandon, your professional fangirl of Monsters Dragon video games. I'm also donning cute merch because Safira. So you want to talk about mother? I almost wore. Yeah.
Also have my Legrand Dom fan. Sorry.
Yeah, I almost wore my Ben and Jinx shirt. So that's because it was when I saw David wear it, I was like, should I bring out mine? But it's fine. I'm just wearing my typical all things go that I wear all the time. So, but yeah, I'm just drinking water out of my JMU cup. So it's just because.
And hi, I'm River, your Brazilian correspondent here on the Cup. And today I'm just drinking some water out of my Hello Kitty mug because it's my favorite mug, and today is a great day, so I am celebrating with water because I don't drink. So.
And it's cute.
Yes.
And it's cute.
And we have a lot of things to celebrate because I will go ahead and say this is my favorite episode of Drag Race Thailand this season, and I'm very happy to talk about this episode.
Yes, and
It was a
right
lovely
after the
episode.
premiere. So for me,
Yes. Yes. Something like that. But we're going to talk about all things Rusical. First ever Rusical, period. But before we dive in, make sure to subscribe if you've not already, because we're here almost all the time giving you almost all things drag. And currently that is 6 drag shows a week for this week and next week.
6 drag franchises.
6 drag shows.
Drag franchises.
5 New York girls. And make sure to check out the description below where you can find all of our audio podcast links, our other YouTube channels, and our Patreon for exclusive content and early access, including early access to most of the Look Over Here episodes for the franchises that we are currently covering. So we're going to dive in. We come back and Mother Benzie's gone. I'm still sad about it.
Yeah.
It was a curse last week. If you like did fake crying in a lip sync, you went home.
Right. Yeah, who else was it? I'm not
Oh.
remembering, but
It was Chara.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
We'll talk about her tomorrow. But we'll talk about her tomorrow. But yes, Mother Benzie's gone. I think the person it's hitting the most is Godland, actually. Godland was
But
like
everyone feels affected by it.
everyone's
by her
upset,
action.
definitely, yeah.
Yeah, Godlin and Gigi I felt like were the ones that was like, oh shoot, this is affecting us the most.
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss seeing her confessional look with the pants as a top. Sickening.
She's just beautiful.
Beautiful.
But yeah, it is it's a pretty classic standard. They're all sad at the person that went home. We'll see if that happens for next week. We'll talk about it. Probably not. But yeah, and we come back in the workroom the next day, and Siam is a brand new person.
Because she felt like it by no pressure from any person outside of herself.
Completely on her own without being prompted by other contestants, obviously.
See, I wasn't here last week to discuss that, but I watched the recap, and it was just very validating to see that everyone kind of felt the same way. And like, what are we missing? Because when stuff like this happens, there's usually a reason, like a valid reason, or it's just the reason is not valid, like just bullying or whatever. Which I want to believe that it's the first one, not the second, because I actually like this cast overall. And I don't know, last week was just weird. I don't know, it still feels weird, and I feel bad for Siam because she like is clearly trying, and it's like damned if she does and damned if she doesn't. It's kind of like there's no winning for her.
Yeah.
So.
And I can tell you before we started the podcast, we typically have a little bit of time where we kind of just talk about overall thoughts, so we all kind of are on the same energy. And I can tell you, all of us felt equally relieved when we all came into the studio and we were just like, that was weird, right? Like, there's something, like, there was a collective sense of, okay, cool, I'm not the only one. And I'm glad you got that too, because it really was like, I just don't know. And the production has been weird for this season, I'll say that. I know it's basically a season one, so I'm not going to critique them all that harshly. And the production value has improved significantly over the course of the season so far. So I'm not going to harp on it too much anymore, but it does still feel just weird. I don't feel like ultimately we ended up with a resolution to that drama.
Yeah.
I don't feel like I understand the problem thoroughly.
In the first place, yeah.
Right, like, what is it though? What is what is it?
They just thought she's being fake nice.
But see, here's my thing. I don't know Siam. If what the girls think she's doing, which is they think she's being fake nice, why does it matter? Okay. And then, okay, if it matters a little bit, does it matter to the point of them treating her like that? If it's nothing more than just they don't like the way that she expresses herself or whatever, if she didn't do anything like that we didn't see, I understand them maybe not liking the way that she's interacting, but I don't feel like that is enough to gang up on someone like that. Like, it's weird.
Yeah, I was Yeah, I remember watching the recap since I wasn't here last week as well, and I was like, yeah, I definitely agreed with that. And it like I remember watching at that moment and I was like, are they ever gonna resolve this? Because like they didn't even talk about it after they got back to the workroom. And then when it was the next day, it was like, okay, so kind of get back into that plot hole, and then still nothing came of it. And hopefully, if next week is like a precursor of what's going to happen, we shall see.
Yeah.
I know that
I
they
don't
were
think
all.
she even understood. Like, I don't think Siam understood what happened. I don't know. And there was one thing just before we move on that really bothered me for some reason. Was I don't remember who said it, but I think it was Frankie, which is weird because I like Frankie so much. But someone
Mhm.
said Siam needs to adapt herself
It was
to
Frankie.
us. And I'm
It was
like,
Frankie.
okay, do you not feel like you should adapt yourselves to her as well and it be a meet each other halfway kind of thing? Or do you just see that she needs to change and adapt to what you think is correct? I don't. That left a sour taste in my mouth with saying, like, she needs to adapt to us. Like, no, she doesn't.
Mhm.
Like, anyway.
And then she even starts this episode when Siam comes in and she's like, "I'm a new person," basically, and like kind of tries to diffuse the tension a little bit. And I'm glad she
In a
did.
playful
I
way,
still
I feel.
in a very playful way. We get a confessional from Frankie again where she's like, "Well, I'm glad that she's adapting to us, but we'll see if it lasts. We'll
What does
see if
that
there's
mean?
drama." And I'm like, "What does this mean?" Literally. I was like, "I don't get this."
It is confusing and angering because it's just like, I feel like we're missing something and I'm mad
Yeah.
because I want to understand. But
Yeah. And I don't think we're ever going to get a resolution from it, honestly.
maybe we'll get one of the girls like in the Patreon or something, like spilling tea. I don't know.
Let's hope for that. Hey,
We'll
if
see.
any of y'all want to come on the podcast, let us know. Siam, hey girl, hey, we love you. But we get a mini challenge, a very strange mini challenge. Go get into office drag and make weird food noises into a microphone.
I hated this.
I hated this.
I skipped it. I watched one
I don't blame you. I
and
don't
I
blame
had to skip
you.
because I can't
People with
listen
misophonia were
to
triggered by
I can't
this
listen to
part of the
people
episode.
eat. Like, I don't like the sound of food.
Misophonia.
If that makes sense. Yeah.
Hmm.
I can't. I'm like RuPaul. Isn't RuPaul like that as well?
I
She doesn't
believe
like
so.
seeing people eat around her. Yeah.
Oh my god, you're so similar to RuPaul. Oh my god.
Oh my
You're
god,
just you are RuPaul. Oh my god.
the fracking.
Oh, ooh. I can tell Pangina was like either so confused or so like into it.
I was like, is Pangina turned on by this? Genuinely.
Like the second half, she was. The first half was like she was like, "What the hell is this?"
I mean, even
And-
with CP, I was like, please get off the screen. Get it off my screen.
yeah,
Not
and
even CP could save it for me.
and the history of mukbangs as of late, I'm just again. I remember when I was first introduced to it, like around like 2013, 2014. I first watched it. I was like, I can't get into this. And then as ASMR got a little more, I guess, popular, that's when it became like, okay, I can still understand why. Am I still into this? No. But again, just like the seductiveness of it all just was a little funny to me, but at the same time was still, again, I was still confused on what the hell happened.
Exactly. David, any thoughts?
On the mini challenge itself,
Correct.
yes. I really like Godland in this. I think it seemed like there were people that were going for either sex sounds or more ASMR. I think Godland was one of the ones that did a good combination of both, and she really went for it. Like she put her mouth all over that mic. So I thought the commitment from Godland was enough for me to be like, yeah, she probably should win.
And she did. So cool. Whatever. That gets me draft points. I'll take it. Thank you, Godland. Thank you for your sacrifice, Godland. I appreciate it.
I did like Frankie going, chooky, chooky, chooky. Chooky, 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 chooky. I don't know what that means, but I like this.
I'm like, I don't know what this
chooky,
is,
chooky,
but I'm
chooky,
living.
chooky.
Girl, I don't know what the hell she's doing, but I am living.
Chooky, chooky, chooky. That might need to be on the soundboard, to be honest.
I think you might have to do it.
Oh, God.
Oh, God. As long as it's not any of the sounds of them chewing, I don't care. Just
Right.
not that,
Okay.
please. Just please, David, not that. But, yes, Godland wins 2 mini challenges in a row. Good for Godland. Yay. And we find out that the maxi challenge is Kraithong, the Rusical, inspired by what I believe to be a Thai folk story, but obviously made much gayer. So, in the classic fashion of mini challenge into Rusical, Godland gets to assign all the roles and does not ask or listen to what anyone wants.
And she
as soon
thinks,
as that happens,
she thinks that she's doing some strategy, but
she thinks she is playing 4D chess in this moment, and in reality, she is playing Chutes and Ladders. And normally,
girl, she's playing Candyland.
She's playing Candyland. She's playing Godland Candyland. And the thing is, normally this kind of casting results in disasters of Rusicals. Right. And somehow it turned out to be a phenomenal Rusical. Like, what?
Yeah.
My favorite thing was as soon as she was done, like handing out, she was looking down, giving all the casting parts, and as soon as she was done, she goes. She gave
everyone just starts laughing.
Yeah, they all just start cracking up.
She was so funny this episode, like in the moments that she was not trying to be. It was so good.
It's like it feels like for me, Godland has finally like settled into the competition. That's what I don't know if anyone else got that. She's here. And we'll talk about that especially. But I think like a couple of high placements in a row, it's really started to get her into this place where she's like, no, okay, I am doing well in this competition. Maybe I can settle in. She also forgot to assign herself a role, so she gave herself a role that was left over. And in most instances, I would say, all right, girl, maybe you should be figuring out something to do. Maybe you should be putting some more effort into this casting. But it didn't end up mattering.
Right.
But this whole episode, I will say, up until the Rusical, like the chaotic casting plus this choreographer coming in and giving them like this really, for me, for those of us that have watched season 1 of Drag Race Philippines, this felt like that one horrible man from season 1 that choreographed the pageant challenge. Like, I really felt like we were going down that same path. I was like, we are about to get an absolute disaster of a Rusical. They're giving them too much choreo. The parts were assigned basically at random. Oh God, oh God, oh God, oh Godland. And they actually turned out to be pretty good.
I feel like they showed us like the first run through of everything just so we could see like the girls not doing so great, and then gave them like a lot of time to rehearse, and then we got the final result.
Because we were a couple of days. They got a couple of days to rehearse, right? They had to.
For sure.
They had to.
Most likely.
It was long. Like this musical was longer than
Oh,
the
yeah.
other.
It's
A lot
it was
longer.
a 15-minute. It's 15 minutes basically.
So yeah, they for sure got more time to rehearse. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
15
Any other
minutes.
thoughts
Yeah,
on
that's one of
the-
the longer ones. I agree. So
Yeah. Any other thoughts on the rehearsals? Anything like that?
One thing that stood out to me was I got spoiled before the episode on who won the challenge. So watching this, I was like, okay, I know what's going to happen. But during the rehearsal, CP was like, Goblin just is doing the same face the whole time. Like, she needs to switch up her faces. She's just like, and I
she
was
was
like,
learning the choreo because you learn the choreo first, and then you add in the facial expression. I would
right,
guess maybe that's what she was doing. I don't know,
maybe. But
but
I was
yeah,
like, I think it's
but
going to work out,
just
CP.
to
I
like
think
throw
it's
us
going to
off
work
a
out.
little bit.
no, yeah,
It's
like
all
during
gonna work out in the end. Don't worry about it.
yeah during the choreo sesh, I was genuinely confused because like it went so fast. And I was like, what's happening? And usually, like, when it comes to, like, this parts of the episode for Thailand this season specifically, it's been, like, kind of dragging a little bit. But that was, like, one of the more faster pace. I was like, oh, that's it? I was like, and I'll be honest, like, I didn't pay attention to, like, half of it, like, as best as I could because I was, like, till this day, even watching Thailand, like back when for season 2, like, still watching, like, with the Thai, like, with them talking in Thai and then on top of the English subtitles, it still like gets to me. So, which means I have to genuinely pay attention, but still, like, for some reason, like the the workroom was fine. It felt rushed in the choreo session. Then now getting back to the workroom while like getting ready, just like felt like kind of back to normal. So that's how I felt.
Maybe they didn't want to give too much, like they didn't want to show us too much of the rehearsals. Maybe also because the musical was long, so timing
Yeah,
and
that
all
is
that.
true. Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely, I agree. And then we get this very short, because obviously the musical is like 15 minutes long. We get this brief moment in the workroom while they're getting ready, and this caught me off guard because of the complete. I'm not gonna say like blah, like it was very matter of fact the way that Frankie talked about this, talking about a mentor and a big sister of hers unaliving herself. And we don't get a whole lot of the story, and even the girls are kind of caught off guard because someone asks Frankie who's in the photo, and she's like, oh yeah, it's a big sister of mine, she coached me in cheerleading, yeah, she unalived herself and jumped off a building. And all of the girls are kind of just like, what? And I was watching the episode and I'm like, huh? And then we get like 2 sentences about it, and then we go to the runway. And it's like,
I think we got a really sincere, like, heartfelt confessional
yes.
from Frankie, where Frankie was like, I just really, really hope she's watching and she's proud of my looks. I just know that she's gonna really like my looks. So I thought that was a good way to end it. I guess I didn't find it as jarring as you did.
Yeah, the way that she said it, like what
yeah.
I feel like it was just I'm very similar to Frankie. Like sometimes it's something that's very natural to me, and maybe like a story that I've told many times, and people that know me know of that, and then you just say it so naturally. And for people that have no idea about that part of your life or whatever, it's a little shocking. But like I literally had something happen to me today in a similar way. Like someone asked me if I had been in a relationship, and I said yeah, and then it ended up with me being institutionalized, and they were like, "What the fuck?" I just said it. I don't know why, but I just said it. Like it was the most natural thing in the world. So I feel like it was a little bit of that, maybe.
Mhm.
Like it's she's processed it through the every way that she needed to, and it's natural to her. So I don't know. Maybe they weren't expecting it. I feel like that's it.
Probably.
But it was relevant because like it's like Frankie said, is the person that encouraged her to do drag. So
Definitely.
yeah.
Definitely. Well, with that being said, shall we go to the runway? Pangina, what the hell are you doing to us? Again? Another incredible look? Pangina. We have to have other nominees for the Cup Awards. Or just be all Pangina. And it might be.
This one had to grow on me.
Oh,
When I
really?
first saw it, especially the shape of it in the middle, I was like, I don't like this. But the more I saw her, like especially sitting on the panel, I was like, but she looks really good. And there's some really cool features. Like I really like the wig just being kind of windswept around her neck. I thought that was a cool feature. So yeah, it grew on me. But at first I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, at first I really liked this, but at first she came out and I literally said, "Oh, lobster." Literally, not in a bad way at all. It's just because it's like two shades, like a red and like an orangey, like the skirt is a different shade. But the red part really gave lobster to me, but in a fabulous way. Not like who was it that did lobster? Sasha Bell. That lobster
Frisbee
just
Jenkins, thank you very much. The artist
thank you,
formerly
yes,
known as Sasha Bell, but sometimes
exactly.
known as Sasha Bell on other sites.
Mhm.
If you know, you know, and I'm pretty sure the other three of us might know. Anyway, at least I know. That's what matters the most to me. But we have a duo of fabulous guest judges this week, Mint Tita and Sylvie Pavida, who were fabulous and lovely and wonderful and fantastic. And I loved both of them, and they were great. Where's Art?
4 episodes in a row
Something
with her.
happened probably during filming.
Which is why they had to bring in, because I
They brought
love Shaw and I love Niti, and I think they are both great also. And I'm glad we're seeing more of Niti because we haven't, and I really like him. I really like his critiques, and I think he's so involved, and it's clear that he's very, very passionate about it. And so is Shaw, and I love Shaw kind of. We all thought Art was going to be the like Michelle Visage or the Pangina, really, of this panel, and Shaw has kind of taken that role instead, and I really, really like them too. I just would like, for me personally, I know Art a little bit more, and I would like to see more of Art, but
Maybe it
all of the
took,
rotating panelists they have are really fun.
yeah, it could have taken 2 episodes for Art to be like, wait, I'm not the host.
Oh
I'm
my
out.
God.
I'm not the host. I
Don't
am
do
out.
this.
I don't think that's the reason.
Don't do this.
Don't do this. Again, I watched y'all's interview with with Pangina, so
Check out our interview with the Pangina Heels, available right here on the cup. Ding. Thank you.
no, yeah, I love like the dynamic like this week with all these judges. So, and again,
the
Miss Pangina.
two guest judges. I don't know if they are an actual couple or not. It kind of seemed like they were.
They might
I don't
be.
know
Yeah.
if they are fabulous, but they were fabulous.
Agreed.
Yes.
Agreed.
Mm-hmm.
So let's talk about Kraithong, the Rusical. We have our lovely, fabulous group of 7 down below. We have Frankie Wonga as Anne, and then later playing the crocodile. Godland as Mankut, the maid. Gigi Ferocious as Pancake, the princess. Nane Safira as Ying, and then later the beautiful lady actor. Siam as Coco, the godmother. Spicy as Helen, and then later Kraithong, the hot man. And ZP as Lena, the theater owner, with a secret. Ooh, she's actually Pancake's mom. And I'm going to assume that David ranked all of these people, and I did as well. And I don't know if anyone else did, but we did. So
I did not.
you might want to.
Okay.
So then in that case, we can start with David and then go to me
Yes.
to give you all more time.
Right.
To come up with a rough ranking.
Yeah.
If you could, that'd be great.
I'll talk about them in order of appearance in the Rusical because that's how I wrote them down. But Godlin started off. I thought Godlin did really well consistently. She had energy, she had facial expressions, she had dance moves. She was just on, and it really did feel like Godlin has arrived. I think this was her first really strong night. So I know everybody might be wondering.
Do you think you are here? Do you think you are here?
Yes, I think you are here, Godlin. I think you killed it. For me, Godlin was number 2.
Interesting indeed. Well, I don't always like starting with my number 1 choice. But Godland was my favorite in this musical. I really just think with how much time she was on screen, I think she is the person that maximized her screen time the absolute most. Her facial expressions were there. She understood the character that she was there to play. And like the judges said, you may have left yourself with a role, but you showed that you could probably have played any of these roles and been incredibly successful. I was wildly impressed with Godlin. This is the first time in the challenges that I have been thoroughly impressed with Godlin's performance. For me, she was number 1.
Yeah, I really enjoyed Godlin. To me, for this musical in general, I can sum it up, my experience of watching this with, I don't know what is going on, but I'm excited and I'm enjoying it. But did I understand it? No. And I don't have a problem with that. Maybe I will understand the story a bit more if I watch it a second time. But me not understanding what was happening didn't detract from me from like how much I liked it. It just, I still enjoyed it. But Godlin to me, I kind of had like a tie for my top 3. Exactly because I wasn't understanding too much. So like to me, I just went on like facial expressions and stage presence and all of that. So Godlin was in my top 3 for this.
Yeah, like if I knew we were gonna do personal rankings, like yes, Goblin would have been up there with the top 3 as well. Something about like when I was watching Goblin during this episode, like starts it out, and then like as time went on, like I even said this, I even said this myself, is like this Rusical is so ridiculous and unhinged, and I'm obsessed.
Exactly.
Especially like in the middle of it where it kind of got horny and I was like, what is happening and why am I like into this right now? And you can tell by the judges reactions how they're enjoying this, and obviously I was a little worried as well, like how they're gonna do in this musical. And then like I got shut the fuck up and I was like, yes, this was actually really good. But yeah, Gotham was within the top 3 for me. So
Next, we had Gigi Ferocious. So when she came out, I was like, oh, she's doing really well. I just didn't know how high the bar was going to be. And actually, I think everybody did well. But for me, I do think Gigi was a little one note. It was a lot of like cutesy, smiley, big smiles, but it just kind of felt like the same thing just over and over and over again. And I wanted to see dynamics, and that might partially be the problem with the character and how it was written. But for me, it was just kind of one level and I didn't get dynamics. So for me, she was a very strong number 7 out of 7.
Interesting. Okay. For me, I actually have Gigi at number 5. And a lot of that has to do actually with her facial expression. I think her physical comedy throughout this Rusical was very, very strong. I do agree with the judges that she did fade just a little bit in the bigger group scenes, but when she was on stage on her own, or with just a few people, like the entire introduction, I absolutely loved her characterization. And I do think she started very, very strong. Ultimately, she did end up fading, but there were a couple of people that I think faded a little bit more for me. So I had Gigi at number 5.
Yeah, I agree mostly with you, Logan. The facial, like in the beginning, she started off so strong, in my opinion, but then the other characters that I had in my top 3, they, like you said, David, they had like more levels to their performances. And Gigi, even though I thought the level that she did bring was great, it was just that, right? I kind of wanted to see literally anything else, anything, to give it more dimension. But like y'all mentioned, I honestly, even with my least favorites, I liked everyone, and I thought everyone did really good.
Agreed.
And so it is hard, but to me, I would have Gigi high safe, like 4 or 5.
Okay. Yeah, this Rusical was this is one of the best Rusicals of the year for me. Like this was such a strong Rusical. No one did bad. I'm literally like splicing pubes, in the words of Chanel O'Connor, to figure out like who I'm placing where. So like even my number 7, it's a strong number 7. And I agree with that. So
No, yeah. To me, I thought Gigi would have just been safe. Because again, she did start out really good. Ooh, that was a tail. So
Yes.
a reverse cat passed by.
Oh,
I was like,
I'm so
where'd that?
confused.
Yeah, I was like, where'd that tail come from anyway? So yeah, Gigi
What
started
that
out really.
tail
Yeah, Gigi started really great, and I was like, okay, I can see where this is going. But yeah, like as time went on, like once like everyone got on stage, like yeah, Gigi did fade, but she still did the best that she could. I mean, I can justify why she was like one of the more quote unquote like worst performances because they did have to nitpick this one. So, but at the same time, like yeah, she did provide like that energy to start, but then it just kept that way, which is why I was like very like was hoping she would do much like better, but I thought it was just safe for me. So that's where I kind of saw it as.
Okay, next we had Siam. I actually really liked a lot of things Siam did. I think she really showed how much energy and performance skills she has. I didn't notice all of the things that they were talking about with her lip sync being off. Even the examples they kept showing of it, it's like, okay, you're showing it, but we can't hear the audio, so I'm just taking you at your word. But it did not stand out to me when I was watching the Rusical. I think my only issue is that her character was a little bit less interesting than some of the other ones. So I think that she had a ceiling of how high she could be. She would have had to like really deliver a mind-blowing performance to be in the top half of this group with this specific character. And unfortunately, it wasn't that. So for me, I had her at number 5.
yeah, I agree with a lot of that, David. I think her physical hers and Gigi's physical comedy was some of the best for me. Especially in that early portion of the Rusical. I think Siam really, I think there's a little bit of characterization that she could have added. And it seems like the judges really wanted a very specific, like, characterization from Siam's character on paper. And she gave a little bit of that, but she didn't give them what they wanted. For me, I have Siam at a very strong number 6. I did notice a lot of the lip sync issues. There was a lot of open mouth, and that does add to her character. But I noticed a lot of open mouth things, and there were some, I don't understand Thai very well, but there were a few lyrics that she had dropped here and there, and there was a couple of moments of her dropping words and then feeling a little bit nervous. So,
Oh, I meant to say this. This doesn't actually have to do with her Rusical performance, but there's something about her face sometimes where I cannot help but see Cameron Diaz. And I know that sounds wild, but like I
It
bet if
doesn't.
it doesn't, do you see
No.
it too?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. I think
Honestly,
she
David,
could actually
every time I looked at her, I was like, she reminds me of someone, and I cannot tell who. And now that you said it, I'm like, yes,
yeah,
I
I'm
actually.
see it.
constantly
The
seeing it.
more that I think about it, yeah.
Like I would love to see her do like Cameron, like her. There's something about Mary character for Snatch Game that would have been pretty. Like have the hair.
Oh.
I think she would look so much like her. Like, which I know is odd to say, like that she would look like this white woman, but I can see it.
I mean, the facial features are similar, like the
Very much the
stretching of the face.
nose too. She has a
Yeah.
very similar nose to Cameron.
So for Siam, like I said, even my least favorites, I still liked. She was unfortunately my least favorite. For I did see the lip sync fails here and there. I also don't speak Thai, but I know how letters look when you say them with your mouth. So we can tell. And to a certain degree. So, um yeah. But to me, my true problem is that um this character that she didn't pick herself, but the character that she played is very similar to the character that she played in the acting challenge. So I kind of didn't. I felt like I was watching the same um character again, like a comeback. I she didn't show me anything different. I did feel like she did better here than in the acting challenge. I feel like the facial expressions, especially, was a lot better and good here. But it was just the least interesting to me.
I'm getting nervous though because I ranked her number 5, Logan ranked her number 6, River ranked her number 7. I hope Brandon's not going to rank her 8 in a 7-person musical.
I hope so.
No.
Oh.
Okay. Yeah, I agreed with a lot of what Logan said about some of the stuff because of the fact that, like, yes, I did kind of see the lip sync be a little off. No, she still did pretty well. Like, she wasn't justified like very low, like in the bottom 2. So that's why I was very like upset that Siam was that low. I was just like, oh, no. And I do agree with River with the fact that like compared to her with the acting challenge, like Siam was a little better here. But it was still like performance wise, like Siam was still like that low. So
Valid.
yeah.
Next up, we had ZP. This one's interesting. So I will go ahead and say CP was my number 4. And I had a pretty clear top 4. Like there's a bit of a gap between 4 and 5. So I liked a lot of what CP did. I think my expectations from her are just really high based on how well she's done in the competition so far. So this left me slightly disappointed. She did really well. I think with this specific character and the voice it had, I wanted to see more of a transformation. I just like the way that she was presenting herself, like throughout the whole musical. I'm like, I don't buy this voice coming out of you. I wanted to see her like really lean into somebody that would have that kind of deeper voice. And she was just performing it like herself, performing it very well. But I just wanted to like absolutely buy into the character. And I didn't. And that's why she was in the middle for me tonight.
Yeah, I have ZP at number 3. I do agree. I wish she had kind of leaned into the voice a little bit. But I actually think for her having a lesser part, not the least part, But for her having a lesser part that wasn't featured as much, but still being very relevant to the story, I think she performed it really well. What drops her below my number 1 and number 2 is I just wish her solo scene had a bit more oomph to it. And I wish she had taken that opportunity to really go all out. And it felt like she was at about like 85% there. I understand they have a very limited amount of time to rehearse and learn this Rusical. So I'm not gonna, it's not a horrible performance, and I'm not gonna like ding her too much on it. I do think overall her performance was very good, very clean, and I understood her character and her characterization.
Yeah, CP was in the top for me as well. Now that we're talking about it, I can kind of figure like who was 1, 2, 3. I feel like I would put CP at number 3. Just because I feel like it was solidly good. It was funny. She was being funny when it wasn't her time to like be to speak or whatever, like when she was in the background just reacting to other things and like just being stupid and doing expressions and all that. I feel like it was really good. I hadn't thought about the voice part, David, but now that you mention it, yeah, it would have. I feel like it didn't bother me, but I feel like it would have added more to her performance if the voice matched kind of the characteristics of the character more. Yeah. But I feel like mostly it's just because I expect so much from ZB in these types of challenges because of what she's shown so far, that even though I still thought this was really good, it was just not as good as her other performances. That's literally it.
Yeah. In this like situation, and like ZP would have been safe, like how I would have seen it. Because although I wouldn't say, again, she did have a lesser role, but she was not forgettable. Like I can tell like where she was able to stand out, but it just wasn't enough for me to like say like, hey, this was one of the top 3 for me. So now that like now I'm seeing this, like ZP would have been 4th for me. So
Next up, we had Spicy Sunshine. It's interesting. I think it was River that said Siam just did the same character that was in the acting challenge. For me, Spicy did the same character that she did in the acting challenge. Very, very similar. And I had a lot of critiques of her when she did that role. And I had very similar critiques this time. I do think she goes for it. She really tries. You can tell she's trying, but it's maybe a little bit too much sometimes. Like, I don't need you mouthing words when you don't have lines. It's distracting. I don't need just like the cutesy characterization all the time. Like, just a little bit too much. Rein it in. It feels like a kid's idea of what acting is, you know? I just want to see it like a more mature idea of how to act. And I'm sounding like I hated it. For me, she started off last. I will say that. I do think there were things that I saw as it went on where it was like, I really appreciate the effort, at least, even if it's not how I think you should be portraying this character. You're trying hard, and I got to give her props for that. So she did end up number 6 for me.
I think Spicy is wildly aided by the fact that she had 2 different characters that she played. Because if I was basing it solely on her first character, she would have been in the bottom 2 for sure. But when she ends up in the performance part at the end as Kraithong, I actually think her performance drastically increased. She had a lot of really good characterization in that part. She really leaned into the switching of the voice, and that physical comedy was really, really strong for me. So ultimately, a poor first part and a strong second half, and especially when she was the middle of the threesome that they ended up having on stage with a crocodile, I really think that that aided her performance very well. So the combination of the two ultimately lands her right in the middle for me at 4th.
Yeah, spicy for me, unfortunately. From the first part, I literally only remember thinking, why is your mouth open so much? That's it. But I don't think it was bad by any means. It was fine. But I was just like, why? What? Anyway. I do think I agree that I think the character that she did later was better than the first one, but it still wasn't. It still was fine. You know what I mean? It was not bad, but it was fine. Um, so just for the like forgettable kind of aspect of it, she was number 6, but very closely to number 7, honestly.
Yeah, Spicy was not that great in the very beginning, and then she did improve later on, like with the scene with the 2 other people, which I was like shocked that I was like, wait, where was this energy from the other one? So, but personally for me, like, yeah, I do agree that Spicy was in the bottom for me as well. Like, would have been number 6. So then Sion would have been 7, Spicy would have been 6, G would have been 5th. So, and I was, yeah, like, I loved like that part where she had the threesome. I was like, this is hilarious. But that wasn't enough for me to like win me over by the fact that the first part was like not that great. So,
Next up was Frankie Wonga. I think Frankie has had such a good season so far.
Yeah.
For me, this might have been her best episode because I thought she killed it in this. Like her facial expressions were so good throughout this entire thing, and she just absolutely delivered it. She was the most professional, animated, and just like eye drawing person on the stage. I could not stop staring at her no matter what. She killed it, and she killed it in both characters. She was number 1 easily for me, and I thought it was wild that they didn't put her in the top. Wild.
So I'm about to make David real mad.
Well, I already knew you were going to put one of my top 3 as your least favorite.
It's Frankie.
Weird.
It honestly goes back to a very similar reason to Spicy. I just hated the first part of the Rusical for her. I did not think her character stood out. I preferred Spicy's characterization of the sisters. I guess I don't know whoever they were supposed to be. I hated her interpretation of it. Where you saw Spicy as going over the top, I saw Frankie as going too over the top. Now combined with her runway, I wouldn't even have had her close to the bottom. Let me make that clear. But in this performance, I think what she did as the crocodile character was good. She for me faded a lot when the whole group was on stage. I don't remember any of her characterization other than the parts that she was featured in. And for that, she is my number 7. But it is a very strong number 7 because she did do very good. I think this should have been an episode where no one went home. I will say that as well. I think everyone did successfully enough that I don't think anyone should have gone home. Now, I don't think that was written into this season whatsoever, so I understand it, but unfortunately, Frankie would have been my number 7.
See, I love this because I am literally like in the middle of y'all. Honestly, I agree that in the group parts, she really just faded. Honestly, like she might as well not have been there. Except when she was like the crocodile and all of that, sure. But other than that, she really faded. But the parts that it was focused on her were really good. So I'm kind of in the middle. She would have been top, like high safe for me, like maybe 4 or 5. I think she would. Yeah, I liked her better than Gigi, so I'd have Frankie 4 and then Gigi 5. But yeah, I thought it was good.
And now David's getting his life because he's actually able to do a ranking for all 4 of us. Because as this goes along, y'all keep giving him more, and I love it when David is like, "Ooh, more numbers."
I was like, a gay liking numbers? What?
Oh.
Anyway, so as it like narrows down for me, right? As for me as well, like I would have put Frankie at 3 here. So I definitely agree with Logan. Like over the top there, but still individually still did really good. Again, like the crocodile scene, like in the middle, like that's what won me over, which is why I loved it. And then but yeah, like everything else with the big groups, I was like, where is she? And then of course the runway was, and
Is she here? Was she there?
Is she here?
Hold
Was
on.
she here in the first part of this musical?
Do you think you are here?
I don't think.
Do you think you are here?
No, yeah, like I think ultimately, like, and again, I won't be on look over here, but I genuinely think Frankie's runway was the one that like ultimately saved it.
Absolutely.
Well, next up lastly we have Nani Safira. So she's the person that like really came out with a bang for me in her first part, like because she was the last one to show up, but as soon as she was there, she was dancing. She was dancing so well, and I was like, okay, you are knowing how to maximize your time, even though it's limited. And when they critiqued her, they were like, yeah, we didn't see you doing anything when it was everybody together, like you would fade. She did not fade for me. Like, once again, I don't get that critique. They said the same thing for her in the acting challenge, but she was on even when she was not acting. If she was not the focus, she was still on, but not in a distracting way like Spicy. So for me, I thought she killed it, and she was my number 3.
I agree 100% with you, David. I wish they had given those critiques to Frankie and to Spicy, because that's really who needed that critique for me. I have Nane at number 2. I really, really loved her performance in this. That initial scene where she pops out and she has her solo bit was my favorite part of the musical, minus the horny threesome that they had later, which was also very enjoyable. But it included a crocodile, so I didn't enjoy it nearly as much. The point is, I think Nane did really, really stand out very positively in this musical. It was very fun, very lovely, very good performance. She could have won this week.
Well, I feel like she should have won. She was. Here's the thing. I started saying that my top 3 were kind of like close to each other, but then I start to think more, and then I hear what you have to say, and you make me think about things that I hadn't before, and I'm like, So honestly, I would have Nani as number 1, with Godlin very closely as a number 2, NCP by number 3. But she had, like I said, my favorite part was when she came in kicking and bucking, and just, it is so hard to be the last character introduced to a story and be able to like make your entrance, first of all, have an impact, which it did. And it changed the whole energy of the musical changed when she came in. So she had the most impact, I feel like, in the performance overall. And I wasn't expecting it. I was not expecting that performance from her. And I love to be pleasantly surprised. So
What would have made Nane number 1 for me if she was involved in the musical a bit more, because Godlin was the reason why she was number 1 for me, and then Nane is a very, very close second. Like, I could even justify like them having a double win for Godlin and Nane.
I wouldn't have been mad at that either. I really wouldn't have been mad at that.
Honestly, I feel like that would have been really fierce. I would have loved to see that.
No, like I would have seen, like I would have loved to see it because like how good this Rusical was.
Exactly.
So like again, it's heartbreaking because like Godlin was the really like pulled off with the bang at the very start, like set the tone and then kept going with that like the entire time. And then with Nane, because she was within the threesome and then like had her solo scene at the very end, it like didn't have that much, I guess, resolve, just to show that like how much she did. But she still did amazing, and like that's why like that's how it's ranked like that now. So
Brandon, can you confirm your rankings for the bottom 3 again?
So I had Siam as 7, Spicy as 6, Gigi as 5th.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yes.
Okay, so here's our average rankings then. At 7th place, we do have Siam. And then we have a tie for 5th and 6th between Gigi and Spicy.
Yeah.
Frankie was number 4 overall. Probably highly averaged out because
Hi.
he had complete opposite rankings. And then
It makes complete sense that she is in the middle, given that she was your favorite and my least favorite.
Right. And then ZP was number 3 overall. And then we did have Nane at number 2 and Godlin at number 1.
Word.
Very, very similar to how the episode actually panned out. For once, we somewhat agreed with the judges. And let's talk about it. The top 3 was indeed Nane, Godlin, and ZP, even though they waited to call Nane until literally the very end. But there is no
weird.
universe.
This was...
I genuinely thought when they did that they were going to do a double win. I thought they were just keeping her on stage until they gave her a win. But they did not. And the winner of the challenge was Godlin. She's here. Yay, she's here.
Yes. We think you're here, girl.
I think Godlin is here. And I'm thrilled about it.
Do you think you are here? Do you think you are here?
Yes, she is.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah, without a doubt. Deserved win, 100%. And we end up with a bottom 2, of course, of Gigi and Siam. I'm not surprised.
You all gave them this story.
Yeah.
It's your own fault.
Here's my thing. Because I don't feel like Gigi should have been in the bottom 2 for this challenge, but last week would have made a lot more sense with the results to have the Gigi versus Siam lip sync.
I agree.
So to me, it felt a little, what's the word? Unclimatic.
Yeah,
anticlimactic.
Thank you very much. Words are hard.
And English is not your first language, so I understand.
But I am an English teacher, so it is a little bit embarrassing.
Well,
not really.
I have to memorize 2 different vocabularies, okay?
We all have spoken English for most of our lives, and we still forget words.
That's what I used to tell my students, to calm them down and be like, "You're good."
Like, trust, native speakers forget words all the damn time. Don't worry.
Truly. I always said, like, do you forget words in Portuguese sometimes? So it's fine. You know what I mean? Like, if you're forgetting your native language, it's fine. Anyway, I don't understand why they did this episode.
They eliminated Benzadiva for no reason.
Yeah.
Maybe they wanted a chance for them to find resolution.
Because think about it, if we didn't get it last week.
Yeah, they wanted they wanted to be able to have the aftermath of last week and then have the lip sync. But
Mhm.
Whatever. But we get a lip sync between these two to "We Are Beautiful" by Sylvie. And I will say, without a shadow of a doubt, this is the best lip sync of the season.
Yeah.
For me.
But let's get into it.
Yeah, I thought this lip sync is kind of a tale of two stories here, because when it started out, I was like, wow, they are both killing it. They're both
Mhm.
really delivering it. And I was like, it's a shame that they already had a double Shantae, because I feel like this could be a double Shantae. And I score lip syncs, and I noticed one person, I just kept dropping their score. Like it would be 1 point, like, oh, 1.1, oh, 5 points. It was Siam. It just got messy by the end. For me,
The mic pack fell.
yeah.
Then she started doing. I don't. She wanted to do stunts and tricks and flips, but it felt weirdly placed,
Mhm.
weirdly done, executed,
Yeah, not executed
and
well.
and low-key dangerously executed. Like it
And the
wasn't
hair was
bad,
getting everywhere.
but yeah, it felt unsafe.
Hmm.
I was
I
I was
really
very
liked her first half.
no, in a way that I was like, I felt like she was doing good up until that part, but then she started doing things that maybe, I don't know, she got excited and was like, I'm gonna do this. And with the
I can
adrenaline
do
and
anything.
I don't know, unsafe in a sense that I was worried that she was gonna get hurt. You know what I mean? Not that it was bad, it was just crazy, intense.
I can see where the intense was, because like for me, I felt like CM was doing a little too much at the second half. That's how I saw it.
Mhm.
Because what had happened was, like, I saw her, like, her facial expressions, like, during that part. I was like, ooh, she's doing a little too much, and I hope she doesn't, like, even though she was still serving, I hope this isn't the reason why she got eliminated. And
In the wig. The
yeah.
wig.
I think Siam won this lip sync.
What?
Oh, okay.
Why? I'm genuinely shocked, and
This
I
is a
really want
wild
to
podcast.
understand.
Wild podcast.
Wild.
I've got the unpopular opinions today overall, and I stand by it. For me, I do agree with everything you all said. I think Siam really, really went for it, and it was dangerous is a decent word to describe this lip sync. I will say, if we had not already had a double Shantae, this would have been my double Shantae by far.
Oh, I agree.
I think
Oh,
they
yeah.
both did phenomenally in this lip sync. For me, though, I got a lot of the same from Gigi. And I'm not saying that because we've seen her lip sync before. I'm saying that because there were no levels to her performance. It was the same throughout the entire thing. And for me, while potentially dangerous, I saw so much fight in Siam.
Oh yeah.
I saw so much fight in her. She had a better grasp on the song lip sync wise than Gigi did. In both the English and the Thai parts, I will say that. Gigi's performance was good, but it felt safe. It felt like she wasn't going 100%. Possibly due to a lot of different reasons. Maybe she thought she could beat Siam. Maybe she thought, oh, I don't need to go 100%. Whatever it may be. For me, it came off as she was doing a very safe performance. And though there were higher highs and lower lows for Siam, I'm going to respect that. And I think of the two performances, I preferred what Siam was doing to what Gigi was doing. By a little bit. Their scores are going to be very, very close for me when I score the lip sync.
I don't agree, but I do see where you're coming from, and
Yes.
it does make sense. It does make sense.
And I don't agree with I agree with a lot of what you're saying, but I don't agree with the fact that Gigi won. So I respect that. Absolutely.
Right. Exactly.
Am
But
I not
can I just
surprised?
say about
What?
Gigi's performance? Because
Mhm.
I felt like she could have gone further. I feel like she could have pushed more, for sure. But I felt like it was very well paced. And I really
Sure.
enjoyed it. To me, the thing about Gigi's performance is that it felt intentional. The things that she was doing felt intentional. And Siam, although I appreciate so much the fire brought the messiness. But
Sure.
yeah, I honestly
And
I wish they would have both stayed because I want to see more from both.
I agree. But I am not ultimately surprised at the elimination whatsoever. And we do lose Siam.
Yeah. And such a heartfelt like speech, kind of.
That felt so. I love Pangina. Pangina, you know I love you dearly. I have told you in person via this podcast that I love you dearly. Unless something got cut from her exit, it felt so dismissive.
Yeah. Because hey, when she started speaking, I don't use this word a lot, but I was like, ooh, cringe a little bit. When she started. When she said, "Oh, I guess now it's the time I'm gonna explain my look." When she said that, I was like, "Ooh, ooh," I like went like this. But then when she started actually explaining it in such a vulnerable way, I I fell in love with her in a way that I hadn't. I enjoyed her before, but this just I cried with her. I really enjoyed her opening up like that.
Yeah, I did say last week that for Siam's sake, I hope she goes home this week. And I'm upset that I said that. But ultimately, I mean, I do think it was her time. Given everything that has happened in the competition so far, she did have the weakest track record. I do understand why she was eliminated. I really wish we would have seen Siam be Siam instead of having her entire storyline this season dominated by drama that we still don't understand. Like, unfortunately, I don't think we got to know Siam, and that's really upsetting. And I don't like that with someone that gets 6 episodes on a season. Like, I want to know more about her. And obviously, we saw what we saw from her drag on this season. Clearly, it has elevated tenfold since this season. And I would love to see her compete on something like a Versus the World or something, because I think she's someone that no one would expect coming. And I think with how polished she is now, I think she could do incredible things on another season of Drag Race, and I would like to see it. And it's a shame we didn't get to see all of that on this season.
Yeah, she's based in San Francisco now, so she could like I said with John Fedeliaga in Philippines, she could do a season of US if she wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Did they both get eliminated 5th?
I think so.
I think so.
I think it was the same episode too.
Ooh, uh-oh.
Same challenge. No, not same challenge.
No.
Same challenge. Same challenge.
It was?
Wait.
John did get eliminated on the Rusical.
I think they should go on a US tour together. I would go see them.
I would find the closest place to me and I would buy a front row ticket. Genuinely.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, I agree with you. I definitely want to see him back in some form. Maybe give it a couple years. But I just think there's so much potential there. The looks have been so good for the most part, and there's just something really, really endearing about Siam. Like, I can't imagine being in a room with her and not immediately falling in love with her.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the reason I was just so confused by this season, is because she just seems like such a sweet person. So yeah, I think it's all uphill from here, and I can't wait to see what the future holds for her.
Yeah. And if I had a nickel for every time a US-based Asian queen has gone home on episode 6 on a Rusical this year on Drag Race, I would have 2 nickels, which is not a whole lot, but it's wild that it's happened twice. Wild.
Wild.
But with that, that should probably shake up the draft standings a little bit because I had both the winner and the queen eliminated.
Damn.
Yes.
Thanks, Godland, for finally contributing to the team.
Right. Yeah. So the draft standings are right now. 5th place is Brandon with 33.5 points, but you're catching up to 4th place, which is me with 35 points. And
Oh,
then
wow.
Eduardo has 49.5 points, very closely behind Lana with 51 points, and Logan is in the lead with 60 points.
I did not realize it was that
60.
big of a margin.
60.
Damn.
Wow. Well, I had this is my first. I think this is my first draft member that I've lost because I have ZP, Godland, and Siam.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm.
My team is eating. Ooh.
I don't know why I thought you had Benzie. So
I
Eduardo does.
wanted. I wanted Benzadiva, and Eduardo stole her from me. But all things considered, I guess that's not too bad.
Stole her from you with the 11th pick overall.
Correct. Definitely stolen. But I remember feeling robbed of money. I remember feeling robbed. And I wish I could tell you what next week's challenge is, but I can tell you what next week's challenge is. All we know is it has something to do with unusual and precarious circumstances relating to drag queens. My theory is that it's something similar to what they did with that super, super fast drag challenge that they did on UK season 3.
Ooh, yes.
That's what I think we're getting. I think we're going to get something along those lines.
Why
Like
would
by
we want
the
to
end
go
of the
back to
season
that?
with the
I don't know. Yes.
right.
I don't know, but that's the only vibes I can go off of. So we'll have to wait until next week.
I just think we're due for a branding challenge of some sort.
And maybe that's what we're getting.
Maybe a commercial.
Yeah. Maybe.
Thanks, editors, for not telling us what the challenge is.
I would love to know.
I would love to know. But regardless, we will be back next week to talk about whatever the hell the challenge is. Who knows?
Who knows?
In the meantime, we've got 5 other drag shows that we are currently talking about here on the Cup. So make sure to check out our coverage of all of those. Make sure to check out the description below as well, where you can find all of our audio podcast links, our other YouTube channels, our Patreon, our social media, and where you can get your merch, including but not limited to Cup Mug. And with all that being said, we are going to go ahead and get out of here. So cheers.
Cheers.
Chooky, chooky, chooky.